everybody. I am Karen with BillTrack50, and we've got Michael here. Say hello.
Hello.
And who are you, Michael?
I am Michael O'Brien. I'm the founder and principal of Mob Advocacy, a national, state, and local government relations firm. I've been working with Karen and BillTrack50 since they were in beta, and I do business development as well as help a lot of Karen's customers with, process and policy questions.
It's true. You're almost the very first person I met. So thank you for teaching me everything I know. All right. So I have shared my screen, so hopefully you'll be able to see what I am doing here. My plan for today is to run you very quickly through all the latest new features so that you can see what we've added over the summer. And then we've got some advanced features to show you. So I want to talk about organization strategies, how you can arrange your bill sheets for success, some query writing tips, and Michael and I will share some things we've learned about how to write a good query. We'll do a quick review of templates and how you can take advantage of them. We'll talk about sharing, both specifically some of the widgets and whatnot, and also like how you can share with members or employees of your organization to get extra value out of your subscription. And then we'll finish with a real quick whirlwind handful of things you should do for housekeeping to get ready for the new year. So that's the plan. It's ambitious. Luckily, I speak quickly. Michael, you'll have to catch up with me, keep up with me. I think we can get through it all in half an hour, but absolutely stop me to ask questions if you have any at any point, and we can get deeper into any one of these points. And we'll also take a minute to do some Q&A at the end. All right, so with that in mind, Michael, anything to add before we tear through this?
No, let's get started.
Let's do it. All right, so I'm going to start. I'm going to assume that you've got an account and this is all familiar to you. So I'm just going to open up one of my bill sheets so I can show you a few things that you should know. All right, so this is my civil asset forfeiture sheet. And if I click here, this used to be a plus. Now it's a little list. So we're calling this our manage button. It has improved functionality. So if I click on that, I can obviously add my bill to other bill sheets. That's the whole idea. But now I can also see what other bill sheets it's on. So this bill I see also showed up on my gun control sheet, and on my police discipline sheet, and on my vet sheet, surprisingly enough. And so I can see when it got added, and if I don't want it on that other sheet, I can actually remove it right from here, as well as adding it to other bill sheets. So this now helps you review real quickly what other queries your bill might match, and add it and remove it to the other bill sheets as needed. So this has gotten a lot more powerful than it was before. However, quick note, if you're going to copy custom data, so if you've added comments or a summary or anything like that that you would like to copy along with your data, you've got to check the copy custom data box before you hit the plus. If you forget, no worries, you can always copy and paste it over an item at a time, or you can use the sync button on the manage tab to move the data all at once. But if you're just adding a bill or two, this is definitely the easiest way. Just remember to check the box before you start adding it elsewhere. Okay, so that's the new manage button. Michael, I assume you love the new manage button.
I do love the new manage button. While it's always been easy to add things, it's always nice to be able to remove them all at the same time and not have to go through and hunt for different bills on different bill sheets. I
know, that was like our #1 request, and since I live in here as well, yes, I agitated until it happened, so I'm excited with that new feature. All right, we have also added a new column that you can pick from the templates, and we'll get into templates a little later. I've got this column called created. So now I can sort on this and see when bills were added to the BillTrack50 database. So this is probably when the bill was introduced, but as you know, it might be a day later, depending what the state did. So this isn't really introduced date, it's just the date we added it to the database. And what this will let you do is see what bills have been added since last time you were in here. So if you look at your alerts every day and you keep up with it, great. You don't need this column. But if you ever leave for a couple days or someone else needs to see what's new, this created column can be very useful to just go through whatever the latest is until you've caught up with the last stuff you looked at. So hopefully that will be useful to you. Okay. Michael, you get in there every single day, right? You don't need the created column.
I'm in there every day, but I have clients that aren't. And so, you know, when I'm presenting to clients, it made it a lot easier to be able to, you know, click on a tab that had, hey, what came in, instead of having to, you know, put some kind of marking in a field. So I knew that it was new material that I was presenting to the clients.
That's a good point. And if you export it, now you can sort on that and delete out all the stuff they've seen before and only show them new stuff. So yeah, all right, good suggestion. All right, next thing up is you will notice that we have added this number line. So always before we had just a checkbox and you could look at this session or all sessions. Well, now you can pick which sessions you want. Of course, that adds a little bit of complication about, you know, if you have a bill that was introduced in 2017, but it's a 2-year session, what are we going to do? Well, if you pick a number line, if you pick the years that overlap any part of a session, we'll show you all of the bills in that session. But otherwise, this should work pretty much like you expect. If you want the full details, they are on our blog. But hopefully this will really be useful to find exactly what you're looking for. So we're loving this thing. Hopefully you will too. Plus it looks pretty sweet. All right, then down here, if you have added bills using the Manage tool, especially if you have a bill that's driving the map on your website, or you've created a hot list, which is an ideal we'll discuss in a minute, then you'll have a lot of bills that have been added by bill number. Of course, you can also just type them in by bill number. So however these wound up, some of these might be from old sessions, and we have added, finally, a way for you to figure that out. So if I hover over this remove, this word here, it highlights for me which bills are from previous sessions. So these are bills that are from before 2017. This tool does not look at what years you've picked on your number line. It just knows that right now it's 2017 and these bills are not current for the 2017 session. So I can click this remove to take those out. Boop, there they go. Now I have only current bills. Now on January 1st, that's going to start doing that for 2018. So I can hover over here and take out anything from 2017 in a couple of weeks. Note, if you have a state that's a 2-year state, so California, for example, or Congress is 2017, 2018, we won't consider 2017 bills to be out of session because they're still alive in 2018. So we're only going to be erasing or removing bills from states like Colorado or Texas that have a 1-year session. All right, so just 2000 only bills will get dropped. Pretty much that's probably what you want. So that's a great new tool. Michael, I assume that's making your life easier trying to maintain your list of bills for maps.
It does, but do you drop Texas because they have only a 1-year session, or do you wait until the next session starts?
Those bills aren't going to pass, so we're taking them out. Even though they meet every other year, that's still what we decided to do. And of course, you don't have to use the tool if you don't want to ditch Texas. All right, so also, as you know, we have this hidden bills option up here so that you can review what you have X'd out. We've added a hide date to this so you can actually sort it and see what you removed the most recently, which makes it kind of like an undo my last X option. But we've also added the bill progress to here in case you remember that something was dead, or if you just want to review what you've X'd out that has been signed or whatever. So we've added bill progress as another option for you to sort by so that you can review those specific bills. So this hidden bills management, this keeps getting better and better. So I wanted to point that out. All right, moving on. Michael, anything else you want to say about writing queries as far as new features before we move on? Anything you've been using lately?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Gotcha. Okay, moving on. So I wanted to talk about, actually, I want to go back to the bill sheet and show you a couple things about the bills. So if you choose a bill, let me see something that's kind of recent. All right, so I'm going to look at the Reagan-Tokes Act in Ohio. So I'm going to click on this bill. And of course, we've got all of our social media stuff, and we've added the actual link to the official state document here at the bottom with the entire URL, so you can see exactly where we're getting it from. So you can go straight to the state right from this summary page. We have also, more importantly, for the highlight search terms feature, which I'm sure you love. Now, letting it think here, it's going to tell me, okay, this word actually appears twice, and this tool turned into a jump tool. So now I've got, it jumped me down to the first place my words appear, so I'm like partway down the bill. But Ohio, famous for long bills, whereas the second place it appears, well, now I can jump straight to it. And so the first one was civil asset, this one is actual forfeiture of property, and it jumped me halfway down the bill, so now I can read the second version, or the second place that this matters. So if you have big, long bills, this will hopefully really help you figure out which sections you need to read and review. So I love this new tool. Michael, are you been using it?
I have been using it. I love it. I get a lot of very long bills as well, where my words are one small section of the bill, and so scrolling down, you might miss it and have to look for a while. This is a great help.
Yeah, I think you guys will like this. You could always do Control F and use the tool in your browser, but if you're searching for several different phrases, like I am here, it's much more useful to just have this little guy. So that was a customer suggestion. Thank you, customer. You're awesome, and hopefully everybody will enjoy that. All right. That is what I wanted to share. Oh, I guess I have one more thing. Let me go back to the summary tab. If you look at a legislator, we have added a little more information. So we now have staff. We've added their phone number and email for staff too. So hopefully you will find that useful. All right, so that's the new data we've added for you. Going back, for regulations, we've made them a lot more like bill sheets now. So when you go in here, we've got the new bill management tool implemented now for regulations, so you can actually add an individual bill to another sheet. I'm sorry, an individual regulation to another sheet. So that's a new feature. You couldn't do that before, which means that we have added the bills that have been added. There's a place for them down here, just like by bill number. Obviously, it's not quite bill number because they're regulations, but you see what I mean. We've added more stuff to the templates so that all in general regulations look a lot more like bill sheets now. You probably won't even notice because they're pretty much how they should have been the whole time. It just took us a little while to get it done. So hopefully you'll find regulations are ever so slightly nicer. Obviously regulations are still a nightmare, but that's not our fault. We don't write them. Michael, anything about regs before I move on? Just generally how you've been using them lately?
Well, I really like the fact that we can create columns now. I used to use other, whether it be a Google Doc or Smartsheet to share regs with clients, and now it's a lot easier to do it right there in the sheet. Another thing, because regulations aren't linear like legislation is, I often try to find the unique regulatory identifier, whether they have rule numbers or the the specific line of code that you're following, and pop it into a new search. And so when those come up, you know that that's something that you're following, as opposed to a new regulation discussion that you're going to need to follow.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you used to have to keep your notes elsewhere, and I'm glad that we've got them added in here now. So yeah, just like with bill sheets, you can add your own columns, and then you can put your own comments in here. So yeah, that's good. All right, that's regulations, and then lots of stuff on the scorecards, which I will run through as quickly as I can. So if I go into any old scorecard, on the Manage tab, I now have some new features. So I can set how I want it to sort. So now you can sort on any one of the types of, on the vote index or the score. You can also do it by legislator name or by district. It just depends on what you think the people looking at the scorecard are going to want to see. We've also added a copy bills feature. So now you can create your scorecard from a bill sheet and then load up bills from another bill sheet. So you can create one scorecard across several topics. Or you can actually reload the original bill sheet again later, and it'll just bring in the newest bills, so that you could get a bill sheet or a scorecard started early in the session, and then easily add the rest of the bills later when you get a chance. So that's the new copy bills feature. We've also added an option to exclude out-of-office legislators. So if someone voted the right way or the wrong way 1 or 2 times and then left office, they'll stay stuck at the top or the bottom of your bill sheet, or of your scorecard, which may not be what you want. That might just stick out like a sore thumb depending on who the person is. So if you want to go ahead and exclude people who didn't actually serve the whole term, no problem, just check this box and we'll take them out of there. And you'll only get people who were there the whole year. All right, so those are the new features. Finally, last thing, not the least thing, we have an app in the App Store. So there's a press release on our blog, so that's got the link to it if you want, or you can just search for BillTrack50, all one word, in the App Store, and that will let you search for bills, see legislators, all the rest of that sort of stuff. It's actually pretty spiff, and I use it to call my senator all the time. I'm sure he's thrilled about it. Okay, so then I wanted to go over some advanced things to help you better manage your BillTrack50 account. So there are 2 fundamental ways that people have been organizing their bill sheets. So if you have a nice straightforward thing to search for where you can just put in defibrillator or dyslexia and you're good to go, that is fantastic. Create your couple of sheets and you're fine. If you have a complicated topic or kind of a collection of topics, then you might want to think about how to organize your bill sheets in a sensible way. So one thing you can do is write a search that is broad if you are quite concerned about missing anything. So you might put in health or education, or if you want to see every bill that a state introduces, just put in the state name as your search and we'll show you all of the bills. We call this a feeder sheet or a big net. So it will bring you in a lot of stuff, but you'll know for sure you're not going to miss anything. And then you can use that manage tool to add bills to a separate bill sheet that you are using to highlight your or your hot list. You can name it your key legislation. So you can name it something to be the bills you're actually going to follow, and then just pluck off the bills that you actually want. So again, my civil asset forfeiture, I put in a bunch of terms and I got back quite a few bills, but now I can pick which ones I actually want to follow and add them to maybe this experiment sheet at the top. Another tip is when you're creating your list that is going to be your main list of bills you really want to follow, if you name it with a dash in front of it or a plus in front of it or whatever, then alphabetically it will pop all the way to the top, which just makes it really easy if you're going to be adding bills to it a lot. So that's some advice. So that is one strategy, is to do these big sheets to make sure you don't miss anything. Now that might be overwhelming for certain topics, or you might create monster bill sheets that are, 30,000 bills, and that's obviously not going to work. So the other strategy you might use is what we call the duck sheet strategy. And that's where you create a whole bunch of really narrow little sheets on very specific words. And that will help you narrow your queries down, and we'll talk about query writing next. And you'll have a lot of sheets, but that way you'll get just very specifically what you exactly need. So if you are searching for specific chemicals, if you are searching for specific medical terms, if you are searching for specific code sections, like specific rules that are going to get changed, you can put those numbers in and search for that. So you can make just a whole list of narrow little things, and that will also show you bills you should consider, and then you can add them up to a big sheet where you've put everything all together onto one sheet for other people to be able to see, so that they don't have to look at 20 or 30 or 50 searches. You can just pop those up onto a sheet where people can see them all together. But you have created, and that's the duck. So you've got all of the sheets underneath the water paddling away, keeping you going, and then on top you've got just the one bill sheet floating there. It looks like magic, getting all of your specific bills that you need. In both cases, for the feeder sheet or for the duck sheet, you probably just want to set alerts on new bill alerts, so that your feeder and your duck sheets are just sending you new bills, and then you'll want to set your action alerts on your master sheet, on your hot sheet, because those are the bills you know you definitely want to follow and you actually do want action alerts on. So Michael, those two strategies, I assume you've used them both. What do you see as, when do you use one and when do you use the other?
Oh, you know, a lot of it depends on your work style. I've used them both. Mostly depending on the client. I personally prefer the duck because I'd much rather look at a bunch of small sheets. It seems a little more manageable to me. But some people work better the other way. I think that's more of a, you know, what's your work style, because they both work and they will both work very well. There might be, I can't think of any offhand, but there might be times where one works better than the other.
Yeah,
they both work very effectively.
You are welcome to reach out to me or Michael to help you figure out kind of which strategy you've already set up, and then we can help you get that honed down and working perfectly. Or if you're just getting started, we're happy to help you figure out which way you should go, and we'll get that started for you, and we'll show you how to name them and set them up. Now, one thing is, if you're doing the big net, it might be because you don't trust the legislature, and you're afraid that they're just going to add stuff in and use new words. So I want to highlight this keywords column. This is a great way to see the language that the states are using. So this is the most important words from this bill. And we send this off to IBM Watson. We send IBM Watson the bills. Watson sends back what the keywords are, so that's what we're seeing. So that's why they're pretty good, but not perfect. So you'll see words in here that are not helpful, but you'll see a lot of words that are. So here we see minimum civil forfeiture, judicial forfeiture. So these might be words I'm familiar with, or maybe they're new words to me. So I can keep an eye on these keywords and then add them to my query. They can also be a great way to kind of explore new topics if you're not comfortable with a topic yet. If you can get in the ballpark, you can start seeing some words that you might want to add. You can also use this for words you want to exclude. So if you're overlapping another topic, this can help you figure out how to knock that out. So as you're setting up the sheets, you might want to turn on the keyword column. You also might want to turn on bill progress, which you can use to sort and filter to figure out just what bills are in a certain category. So that can be handy as well. Now, little noticed feature, especially if you've set up duck sheets, on your bill sheet tab, you can actually say combine and then pick off some or all of the bill sheets you would like to bring together. And then you can decide what template to use. And you can say if you want it to be all rows, which means if the bill is in more than one sheet, it will come back several times, or unique rows, and that will bring the bill back only once. And there's times when you would use one and the other. Let's do that one. And then once you combine it, that brings back all of the bills from those sheets, brings them back together in one bill sheet, at which point you can export it, you can sort it, you can use the bill progress, you can look at the created and see what's been added new to all of your bill sheets at once. So just because you've created a bunch of searches doesn't mean you can't deal with all of your bills at once. So I just wanted to point out that you'll still be able to use that created column, look for what bills have been added in the last week. Even if you have a whole bunch of bill sheets, you can bring them back together. All right, so those are some different ways you can organize your account and hopefully some ideas for how to make it practical, whichever way you go. All right, so moving on, query writing tips. All right, so back into my civil asset forfeiture. You'll see that I had actually searched on a series of phrases. So because I wanted the exact phrase, civil asset forfeiture, I put it in quotes. But perhaps I don't know if it's going to be forfeiture or forfeitures or forfeiting or some other version of that word. So then I can put an asterisk on the end, which will say do it even if it's got a different ending. So I'm going to do that. So that's my wild card. So that can come in really handy. Not particularly in this search. Actually not useful at all for civil asset forfeiture. But you see the idea. Also, if I'm not quite sure what the phrase is going to be, I'm going to take this and move it up here. Then I can say, you know what, I don't know if it's going to be civil forfeiture or civil asset forfeiture, or if it's going to be forfeiture of civil assets. Like, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to say it, but I know these are my two words that are going to appear. I can say, only give it to me when these two words are near each other, and that means pretty much in the same sentence. So that is a little looser than having it a phrase that has to be exactly that. Near means it's got to be approximately that, but the words can be in a different order or have a couple words in between them. So near is a nice way to fudge if you don't have exactly a phrase, but it's practically a phrase. And if you just leave it as contains all, it just means both words have to be in there somewhere. And then, of course, down here it means either. So, Michael, how have you been using either the near or the asterisk to make your queries better?
I use the asterisk a lot, more so than the near. Although I've started using the near a little bit more and found it useful, especially I'm trying to think. There's some clients that have some word phrases that you're not necessarily sure what order that they're going to appear in.
Yeah.
And so the near works fabulous for that, as opposed to trying to pop in 5 different phrases.
Yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know that I've started to use it a little more.
Well, yeah, property forfeiture or forfeiture of property, like that's a good example. You're not quite sure, so you could just put the 2 words up here and say here. The other thing I want to point out is this none. So you would normally use that if you're overlapping another topic, but let's say that you've written several bill sheets and you are exploring the same topic, but you're trying different phrases and you're using kind of a duck strategy of several queries to try to really keep it narrow. Well, then you can use none of to make sure your bill sheets don't overlap. So, I could do one search for civil asset forfeiture, and then on my next search, I could say, I already have those covered, so don't give me any that are civil asset forfeiture. So it's a nice tool to keep them from overlapping. If you have a lot of bill sheets, you can also ask me, and I can add you to the list of people who get deduped every night. So if you are finding that that's an issue, that you've got bills appearing in lots of your bill sheets, let me know. I can help with that, but I need to talk to you about the pros and cons. So that's an option that can be pretty helpful. All right, I'm not going to save the changes I made there. And then I just wanted to point out a couple things about the templates. So we've had the templates for a couple of years now. Hopefully you're finding it useful. And you know that you can add columns and you can put links or your own drop-down list, or you can create free-form text, whatever you need, and then add them and remove them from your templates. But we have also added a new sort to the template. So you can say, you know what, I like that created column, always use it and put the newest bills on top. or you can say, you know what, I just always need these sorted by state, or maybe you want to see them always sorted by bill progress. So whatever you need. And remember, you can also use this sort for your stakeholder page, so that when you're sharing bills on your website, you can always put the newest ones on top, or you can put the ones that have passed on top, or you can add your own column with a priority and then make that your sort. So this can very much help you share information or just make it easier for you to work. So remember that you've got lots of options on your template, including your own columns. So, you know, hopefully you can take full advantage of those. Michael, what's your favorite thing you've accomplished with a column?
My favorite thing I've accomplished with a column?
Yeah.
Well, I like that there's a lot more options now than when I started, where you can pick the priority, and as opposed to having to type it all in, you know, you have a drop down option now. And you know, different pieces. It's constantly been evolving and getting better. Todd, my favorite thing I've done with a column. I don't know.
Setting up a priority list is good. I'll take that. Okay, so to keep this show on the road, we're running out of time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I'm just going to point out on widgets, if you have a position column, you can turn on color coding in your widget. So I can say make this color coded, and it will show bills I approve. Oh, I don't have any that I'm. Anyway, it'll show in red and blue. Red and blue, red and green, bills that are good and bad. So here's a customer example. They've set it up here, bills they like, bills they don't like. So it's just down the side. Bills that are monitoring are gray, and if there's a couple bills you don't rate, they'll just show up white here. So it's, I guess, a good way to share. We've got new column types in the stakeholder page, so you can share links. So you can share links to state documents, to calls to action, to whatever. And you can also have drop downs so that you can keep everything tidy, etc. So for your stakeholder pages, the template option should really help. We have started doing custom maps. So if you do just part of the country, so if you have just like the Northeast or just the South or some part of the country, we can make you a custom map that shows just the states that you care about. And then you just paste that into your map widget, and boom, you get just part of the country, not the whole country. Ask us about that. We've also started doing custom reports. So if you have a specific PDF layout you like with your logo on the top and certain color coding, and you want to add your own notes from your bill sheet into your report, let us know, and we can create for you a custom PDF that will build off of your bill sheet. So that's an option. Contact us for that too. All right. Finally, we've had some customers do some interesting things this year. So we had one customer set it up so that their employees could have their own private sheets and then have company sheets, so that they could have a place where they could do their own work and then a place where they could actually share their work with the rest of the company. And that's been working very well. If that sounds intriguing, let me know, and I can help you get switched over to that kind of approach. I am actually going to, I'm going to be Michael. Hang on. Give you a quick look at what that can look like. I'm impersonating you, Michael. Isn't it exciting?
That's a first.
Right, so I'm going to log in as you. And just to show, when Michael goes to make a bill sheet, the first thing he's got is where he wants to put that bill sheet. So it can be for a client or it can be to his own personal account. So that's how you can set that up, so that people can create sheets in the company they want or in their own private place. We've also had customers who have created 1 or 2 bill sheets just for one of their members, and then shared the admin control of that sheet with the member, giving that member the ability to do a little bit of BillTrack50, do a little bit of searching research, set up alerts, make a widget, as a member benefit, and we're perfectly happy for you to do that. If you'd like to do that and offer that as a member benefit, I'm happy to do a training and then record it so that you can then share that with all of your members. So that's an option, a way to get a little extra value and maybe make your members happier. And we've also had people offer their members a discount to BillTrack50 as a member benefit. And then their members sign up for BillTrack50, they get a discount, and I can negotiate with you how that works. That has been pretty successful as well, so reach out to me if that sounds interesting. I'm happy to talk to you about how that would work. All right, and then I'm going to take 2 minutes to show you housekeeping. So it's the end of the year. If you want, remember that you can, oh, I'm Michael now, I forgot. My apologies. You can go to the Manage tab and copy any bill sheet, and then once you've done that, you can archive it, and that will lock it away so that you have it to refer to in the future, so that you can look at legislative trends and whatnot. Also, we automatically, if your bill sheet was 2017, we added 2018 to it when new session started, and on January 1st, we will drop 2017. So in effect, all of your bill sheets are going to roll over to 2018. But if that's not what you want, just change the number line back to what you do want. Just letting you know that automatically your bill sheets are all going to roll to 2018 if you don't do anything about it. You should, once a year, review the users that you have invited. Michael only has Michael. That's pretty antisocial. But if you have a whole list, make sure that those people are still with your organization and see if there's anyone you've forgotten to add. And then finally, on regulation sheets, remember that in the query, part of it is a date. So if you keep up with your regulation sheet and you X out regulations you don't need, great. If you don't, though, you might want to roll this date forward once a year to keep your sheet under control. All right. So that was a massive amount of information. Hopefully you found at least something in there that made it worth attending today. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in. Michael, anything you feel like I forgot to cover?
I think we hit everything. I can't think of anything offhand.
Go team us. All right, everybody. Hopefully that was useful. Absolutely reach out to me or Michael anytime if you need help with writing queries or how to organize things, or if you need anything custom, just let me know. I'm Karen at LegiNation. Michael's Michael at LegiNation. And you can see that on the contact sheet. All right, so thanks everybody for attending, and have a great holiday season. Say bye, Michael.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.